My name is Jen Parenti, and I am the counselor for students in grades 10 through 12 at Fairview High School. I wanted to share with you the information that was presented to your junior this week during English class. We are talking about future plans, but first we want to review what are the requirements needed to graduate from Fairview High School. First of all, students need to earn a total of 21 credits throughout high school. Specifically, those credits include 4 credits of mathematics, including 1 credit of Algebra 2 or its equivalent, 4 credits of English, 3 credits of science, including a biological science, a physical science, and an additional science, 3 credits of social studies, including U.S. history, government, and world history, a half credit of financial literacy, a half credit of health, a half credit of physical education or a completed PE waiver, and that half credit then gets moved into the elective category, 1 full credit of fine arts. This gets waived if students attend Polaris Career Center, and then enough elective credits to get them to a minimum of 21. Most of our students graduate with well over 21, but 21 is the minimum required. The second part of graduation is showing competency. And for the state of Ohio, showing competency means passing both the Algebra 1 and the ELA 2 end-of-course exams. The score that they need to reach in order to be considered passing is a 684. The third part of graduation is showing readiness. Students must earn a minimum of 2 graduation seals from the list here. There are 12 total graduation seals available to students. The ones on the right-hand side are the state-defined seals, and students must earn at least 1 of those. The other 3 on the left are locally defined seals, and students may have 1 of those, but they must have 1 state-defined seal. These seals are earned in a variety of ways, and students can come down and ask if they are unsure if they have earned enough or which ones they have earned. So now we're going to talk about what are our plans for after high school. There really are 3 roads. They may be enrolled in some sort of post-secondary education, they may be employed, or they may be enlisted. Many educational choices from this point moving forward require additional education, whether that's from a trade school, a 2-year college, a 4-year college, or just on-the-job training. And that's what we want to talk about today. Let's first talk about career and trade schools. So these types of schools offer short-term training in a wide variety of career fields. Like I talked to the students about, many of the students who attend Polaris have already done this type of school through Polaris. However, some students did not attend Polaris, but maybe now want to consider perhaps going into HVAC or to become a cosmetologist or a dental hygienist, so they can attend a certain career school or trade school for those types of jobs. They will mostly earn certificates through these schools, but some of them actually earn associate degrees. And there are many options for these types of schools. Here are some examples of career and trade school professions. And I would like to add that Polaris Career Center also has an adult education program that students who did not attend Polaris as a high school student can attend as an adult and earn some of those same certificates. The second choice would be to do an apprenticeship. So an apprenticeship is where a student would get trained on the job and be paid for their work. They would have some sort of classroom environment, although it would be limited. Apprenticeships can last anywhere from 1 to 4 years, depending on the field. Some opportunities that they would want to consider if interested in apprenticeships, would be to look at the Tri-C Joint Trades Apprenticeship Program, consider local unions in the area and if they have any openings in their apprenticeship programs, or check out apprenticeship.gov to search for approved programs. The third choice is to join the military. There are different options for joining the military, including applying and getting accepted to one of the military academies. In this situation, their tuition would be paid for, and they, upon graduation from the academy, would then be enlisted into the specific arm of the military as an officer. Another option would be to join the reserves or join the National Guard, where it can be more of a part-time military enlistment, and they can perhaps go to school at the same time. Or they can join as a full-time member of the military and learn on-the-job training through the military. Let's talk about community college. Community colleges offer both associate's degrees and many certificates programs as well, much like a trade school would. They are public institutions and they are typically open admission, very affordable, and they offer lots of transfer options. We have 2 amazing community colleges right in our backyard, with Tri-C and LCCC being pretty close by. Why would students attend community college? There are a variety of reasons. Like I said, they might attend the community college to earn a certificate in a certain trade or program. They might be looking for an associate's degree for a certain career field, or they might be starting their college education at a 2-year school because it is affordable. These are all great choices. And again, we are very lucky to have both Tri-C and LCCC in our backyard. They have amazing programs and partnerships with different colleges as well that makes attending and then transferring a seamless process. Many of our students will choose the 4-year college option right after high school. They have many options right here in Ohio. Again, we are so lucky to have so many public and private universities right here in the state of Ohio. They have the choice to commute to college or to live on campus. Obviously, the schools vary in cost, they vary in size, so students have plenty of options to choose from, and now is the time to start looking. Some of the larger universities even have regional campuses, making those universities an even better option. Here are some of our public universities here in Ohio, and here are some of our private universities. So as students start thinking about college, here are some things that they should consider when trying to decide what colleges to visit, what colleges to apply for, and ideally what college they will end up attending. First of all, it is important to make sure that the colleges that you're looking at have the major and degrees that you are interested in. Location is a factor for sure. Some students might be thinking they want to look for a school outside of Ohio. Other students might be thinking they want to look for a school in a different part of Ohio, and there are many to choose from. Also, in terms of location, they also want to think about what kind of campus are they looking for. Do they want a campus that is in an urban setting, or perhaps a campus that is in a more rural setting where the college is pretty much the town and there's nothing much else around it, so that their focus can solely be on the college? Those are important factors to consider, and I encourage students to visit different types of colleges with respect to location to see which ones they feel most comfortable with. The size of the college would also be something to consider. We have very, very small private colleges that have only a couple thousand students. We have public universities that are in the medium to large range, like a Bowling Green, Kent, OU, where there's anywhere from 16 to 20,000 students. And then, of course, we've got the Ohio State University that has over 50,000 students. Again, students will want to consider the size of the school as a factor when deciding where to look. In addition to taking classes, students are going to be doing other things on the campus, so it's important to check out all the different possibilities that the colleges offer. For instance, sports, whether the students are playing collegiate sports or they're going to join maybe a club sport or an intramural sport. There are many clubs that colleges offer, and so it would be good for them to check those out. They might consider joining Greek life, or they might have some religious affiliations that they're looking for. All of these things would add to their experience as an undergrad. It is important to consider if the student fits the college's admissions requirements. Just like students are shopping around for colleges that fit them best, the colleges are also shopping around to find students that fit them the best. So it is important to know if they are in the acceptable range. Retention rate and job placement rate are two things that I think are also important for students to look for. Retention rate would be, if students start at that college, are they graduating from that college, and how long is it taking them to graduate? 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? And also, are the colleges helping students to find those jobs after graduation? That's a pretty important statistic, and I think depending on majors, different colleges have different job placement rates depending on certain majors. Cost is important too, especially in this day and age, but I do encourage students to not count a school out just yet on cost. Not until they've done the FAFSA and they've applied for scholarships and they've seen what kind of merit money they can get from the schools, I wouldn't count them out just yet. Here are some websites students can use to research colleges. The first one is a link to a website that has all of the Ohio private colleges information in one location. The second one is the Common App website. If you have never heard of the Common App is a website where there are hundreds of colleges that use that as their college application. So students can create an account and they can house all of their information on that one website. And then when it comes time to apply to those colleges, they just have to answer a few additional questions for each college, and the application goes straight to the colleges from that one website, making it easier for the students to apply to multiple colleges. They've got some good college information as well, so that would be a good place to look. The College Board, which houses AP and SAT and PSAT, also has a website and an app known as Big Future, where it helps students search for colleges and majors, and so that's another great resource. The fourth one down is like the first one in that it's one website that houses all of the information for all of Ohio's public universities. So we've got all of the Ohio colleges covered in those two links. And then the bottom one is my personal favorite, which is School Links, which is our new college and career platform that we launched this school year. School Links has a ton of information for colleges and careers, and students can take virtual tours and gain a lot of information just from School Links itself. It is important to visit the colleges you are considering, and I know that as part of junior experience, students will have those last 4 days of May to do that, but I also told them that it's important to also consider visiting those colleges again when they are fully in session, because the last 4 days of May for most schools will be during their summer session, so their campuses won't be as crowded, they'll be much quieter, quieter, less people milling around, and some buildings may even be closed. So I suggested, if at all possible, if they could visit earlier in the spring, perhaps when they're on spring break, or even early fall. Those are great times to visit the colleges when the campuses are bustling and lots of energy going around. So what usually happens when you schedule an official visit to a college is the first thing is you'll meet with someone in the admissions. And usually this is a presentation that happens the first half hour to 45 minutes that you're there. During that time, you'll meet with people who are going to talk to you about what's new and exciting for the college, what if they have any new programs, if there are new majors, if there are any new buildings happening. So they really give you a lot of information, and they'll talk about their application timeline and what they're looking for. Then you'll take a tour, usually with students who are employed by the university, so keep that in mind. And what I suggest is once you've taken that tour, maybe spend some time in the student union for a couple of reasons. First of all, the unions are really usually the hot spot on campus where lots of kids are milling around, eating, drinking coffee, studying, working in groups. It's a great place to maybe talk to some other students about more information. Like I tell the kids, ask a student, like, okay, where do the freshmen actually have to live on campus, and how far away do we have to park our car if we bring our car? The student union usually has great places to eat and maybe a bookstore with some college swag as well. So it's definitely a great place to check out while you're there. If it's possible, I encourage students to ask if they can sit in on a class or speak with a faculty member if they know the program that they want to study. And sometimes colleges will have special visit days for this specifically, like for instance, a college might have a nursing day where any potential nursing majors could visit, and they would, maybe visit the nursing labs and sit in on a class or two and speak with a faculty member. But if it's just a regular visit, ask and see if that's something that's a possibility. Another thing I think would be helpful would to meet with someone in the financial aid office right during that visit and maybe show them your transcript and say, what kind of merit aid would be available for a student like me, and, what options do you have in terms of scholarships and financial aid. Students do get 2 excused absences from school to go on college visits, and this would be outside of those 4 days in May for the junior experience. There is paperwork that needs to be filled out, and it is located in Mrs. Anderson's office, the attendance secretary. You would fill out the first page with the date and the location of the visit, and then you would take the second page with you to the school and have someone in the admissions office sign off that you attended the visit so that it can be an excused absence from school. We also have many college reps that visit us at Fairview High School. Most of these visits happen in the fall when they are out traveling around to different college fairs, and any student in grades 9 through 12 actually is able to visit with these college reps when they are here. It's super easy to sign up. They would just log into School Links and check the college rep visits calendar and just quickly click a link to sign up for those visits. They really can attend as many of those as necessary, and I encourage the kids to do this because colleges track interest. So that means anytime a student visits with a college rep, whether it's at a college fair or when the college reps are here or when they go to the college, colleges are tracking their interest. And so the more interest that a student shows to a school, the better off it is for them. So what are colleges looking for? We talked about what students can be looking for, but what are colleges looking for? So the top 3 marks are really the most important. So they're looking at a student's GPA, they're looking at their test scores, and they're looking at their rigor of the courses, meaning what does their transcript look like in terms of, did they take 4 years of English and math and science and social studies? Did they take any advanced classes? Were they having full schedules each year? Which is why I put on here including senior year, because colleges do ask for the seniors' current schedules. So senior year, while yes, they have open campus and can leave when they don't have class, they still want to be taking classes that are going to look good on their transcript. As far as the GPA and the test scores, these kind of have flip-flopped in terms of which one is the most important and which one is the next most important. And really, since COVID, GPA has won that battle because, as we all know, during COVID, the tests were not available to students because we were not at school. So many of the schools have kept with the test optional platform, which means that students can submit their test scores if they think it will help for admissions, but they don't have to. So in other words, if a student is a good student, but maybe not necessarily the best test taker, if the school is a test optional school, then they might not want to send their test scores and they might want to use their GPA alone to be considered for admission. Now, certain schools are test optional, but they say unless you're applying for a certain major. Like a lot of schools, if you're going into nursing or if you're going into engineering or if you're applying for their honors program, they still want test scores. So it's important for students to know whether or not test scores are required. And I will tell you, Ohio State just announced a couple of days ago that they are no longer going to be test optional starting with this class. So starting with the class of 2026, they are going to require test scores as part of an application. So that means that students really have to pay attention to what schools are requiring test scores and which ones are not. I have a feeling that more schools are going to announce between now and September that they are going to require test scores once again. So GPA, test scores, rigor of courses. Other things that are important but just not as important would be showing involvement in extracurriculars, work experience, leadership, and volunteering. And I tell the kids these are really important if they're on the bubble of maybe being accepted or being waitlisted. So the more they can add to their resumes, the better. Speaking of test scores, so there are two different types of college entrance exams, I should say. One is the ACT, which we just gave all the juniors a couple of weeks ago, and the other one is the SAT, which many of your students have taken the PSAT to practice for the SAT. They are totally different tests, totally different scoring ranges, as you can see. The ACT is an achievement test, so it's testing what students know right now. It tests in 4 subjects: English, math, reading, and science, and there's an optional writing category as well. Although the writing is not part of their composite score and is not really used for admissions purposes. It might be used as a writing sample for English placement. The SAT is an aptitude test, so it's a predictor of how well students will do in college, and it's only evidence-based reading and writing and math. I encourage students to take both tests at least once to see which one they are more comfortable with. And then if they are wanting to submit test scores, or they have to submit test scores, to then retest in that one that they feel more comfortable with. We gave all the juniors the ACT during school, and it was free as part of a state initiative. But now, if students want to retake the ACT or take the SAT, they would need to register themselves on those websites below, create an account or log into their account, register themselves, and they would have to pay for it as well. There are some pretty big changes coming to the ACT as soon as April of this year. The new changes will happen for digital tests in April, but for paper pencil tests, not until September. First of all, they are shortening the test. There are going to be 44 less questions, and so they are reducing the test length from 195 minutes down to 125 minutes. That's a pretty big jump. They are also, which will allow for more time per question. They are also going to reduce the answer choices in math from 5 choices down to 4, which would increase students' odds if they needed to guess. And then probably the biggest surprise, I guess, is that they are going to make the science test optional as well, just like the writing test is optional. So students can choose to take it with or without science. I would recommend, if they are planning to go to college and major in a STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, math, medical, they should take the science test. However, if they are going to major in English or something that's totally unrelated to STEM, then they could choose to just take the ACT with just the English, reading, and math, and their composite score would be comprised of those 3. There's a lot to consider as this junior year comes to a close, and I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. I will be meeting with them again early in the fall to discuss again future options and, more importantly, the college application process as well as financial aid. And we will have evening meetings for parents as well to discuss college and financial aid. Here are some resources for you to check out. Our Fairview High School page on the district website has a ton of information, and here I have just a screenshot of what our school counseling page looks like. We have lots of information, and we try to keep it as updated as possible. Here's what the student screen on School Links looks like. Again, I cannot say enough good things about School Links. Students can research colleges, they can research careers, they can research scholarships, they can build a resume in here. They will be using this for their junior experience to post their activities, and so we are really encouraging you to take a look at School Links as well, as it is an amazing platform and super helpful. Again, that College Board website, the College Board Big Future, great tool for students to use to plan and pay for college and explore some careers as well. The Ohio Means Jobs website, when kids are in school, they can learn about college, they can learn about careers, but then once as adults, they can actually look for jobs on here as well. We have the amazing opportunity to have College Now Greater Cleveland in our school, and we have an advisor who works with our students. She's here pretty much twice a month from September through about April, and she's here all day. Her name is Pam Sandoval. She is an amazing wealth of knowledge. She meets with kids, she can meet with parents, she can meet with families, and she helps with the financial aid process and also can help with scholarships as well. So I encourage you to keep her name in the back of your mind. You'll meet her next year when we do our senior parent night, and she will give you so much information about the FAFSA and financial aid, and you'll definitely want to make an appointment to meet with her when she's here during the school day. Thank you again. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email or call me. I'm happy to meet with you in person as well to answer any questions in regards to graduation requirements. Is your student on track to graduate, or future planning, any assistance that you need. Thanks again, and have a great day.